Hi everyone, welcome to the Facebook Live today where I have a very special guest, Ken Okazaki, all the way from Japan, joining us. Ken, I'm super excited to have you on this Facebook Live today and to be chatting to you about the tricks and the secrets and the techniques that you've helped some of the world's top marketers use to make their millions, to create their funnels. And I'm super grateful to have you on today. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Evie. Such a pleasure. And I've been following your stuff as well. And it's absolutely what's needed right now. You know, this with everything that's going on and the message we're putting out is so important.
Yeah, you're right. It is so important at the moment to be pivoting and obviously adapting with these times. And I've been following your stuff as well. And funnily enough, when I came across you on Facebook and saw what you were doing, I was just like, wow, the things that you were sharing online and also what's working for you is phenomenal. So obviously the audience who are watching right now probably have no idea yet what we're talking about. So Ken, tell us a bit about yourself, about your background and your story.
Sure, I'd be super happy to. Now, my story is pretty unorthodox, but I didn't actually get started in business until just recently. And before that, I traveled the world. Just a really, really short bio. Like I actually ran away or left home at 17, and I lived in 8 different countries for I went on like a 12-year road trip. And everywhere I went, I realized that as a Japanese person working and living in other countries, you can't get work permits everywhere. So I had to keep building businesses every country I lived in. So that's where my entrepreneurship started, building businesses but not long-term businesses until I actually went to an event by a very tall person with big teeth. A lot of people call him Tony Robbins. And this was about 10 years ago maybe 9 years ago that this happened. I became exposed to this whole world of personal development. I got hooked. I decided, you know what, I'm going to plant my roots and start a business that I'm really proud of. And I started hosting seminars for people like Tony Robbins, bringing thousands of people into a room at the same time, hiring the world's top speakers, bringing them together. And long story short, within 2 years, I was hosting the largest business seminars in Japan with my company. And but once I got there, I realized, no, this is not what I want to do. There's just a whole lot of admin work. There is so much logistics, not a lot of fun. And but the one thing I did enjoy was the marketing bit. And obviously for me, I found that video was the number one most effective marketing tool in putting butts in seats for my multi-thousand person events that I was putting on every month or so. So I actually got rid of the events company. I sold it off. And I went all in with video marketing because number one, everybody needs a marketer if you want to get your message out to the masses. And number two, video was the most effective medium out of everything we did. We did everything. We did radio, we did magazine, newspaper, TV. We did it all. Video marketing on social media was the number one highest converting medium. That's why I went all in with video marketing. So that's my entrepreneurial journey in a nutshell. If that piqued your interest and you want more, just hit me up later. I'd be happy to share.
Wow, that is so awesome, Ken. And so good to hear that you know how to put bums on seats, because I think a lot of people struggle with that. And these days on social media, Zoom online events now are taking off more than actual in-person events. But before all of this happened, we were already seeing that there are a lot of business owners that sometimes struggle when it comes to, filling an event. So I would love to find out, what do you recommend for those that want to start getting people towards their event? They want to start becoming well known. What are your tips around that?
It's funny. The word secret is used so often, and I use that because it's a great marketing word. People feel like this is something that if they learn it, it's going to be the magic trick, the silver bullet. It's going to get the job done. And here's the secret about secrets is that this information is not really new, but it gets overlooked so often. So what's obvious becomes obscured because of all the fancy stuff that's going out. People would rather buy, the 30-day accelerator program. They'd rather buy, the 5 words that will get you new leads. And, the marketers label it with the word secret. And yes, they will get you some limited results. But when it comes to marketing and using video, if you want to get people to register to your webinar, if you want to get people to come to a live event and to commit money, you have to understand that the biggest mentality shift you need to have is that you need to stop pitching. Stop freaking pitching. Because when you pitch, here's what happens. Even though there's going to be a small group of people who are the right person with the right interests at the right point in their life, who are looking for the opportunity, they'll jump at it. But everybody else is going to get turned off by your message, because nobody likes to sit in front of a video where they're being told what to buy, what to invest in. People like to feel like they came to that decision on their own. So stop pitching and start sharing. Start sharing 3 things. And there's 3 types of video content you need to put, right? And in marketing terms, we call it top of funnel, middle of funnel, and bottom of funnel. But you got to think, people who have no idea who you are or what you do or why they should even listen to you, you need to talk to them at this level, which is all about why you do what you do. And then in the middle, when people are semi-familiar but not quite ready to buy, you need to also create content which is about what you do. And then when people are ready to buy, you show them about how you do it. So it's why, what, how, and you got to understand, creating this content takes people through a journey where you completely separate the 2 messages. One is giving information, creating content for people to know, like, and trust you more. And then the other is asking for a commitment, whether it's financial or whether it's a commitment of time to come to a webinar. And don't mix those 2 together. Those 2 things do not belong in the same video message. When someone watches an advertising video where you're going to sell something or ask them to do something that's a commitment, then tell them right up front, like, I'm going to sell you something, or make it clear in one way or another. Or if you're just giving away content for free, then get people to understand that when they see you on their newsfeed, you're going to give them some amazing value. A lot of dopamine is going to get released in their bloodstream. And those drugs, by the way, are what are going to get them addicted to watching you over and over and over. And that's what you got to get in your mind. Separate where you give and where you ask. Don't mix the 2 together. Don't morph from one to the other. That confuses your audience.
Absolutely. That's so 100% right. Giving value is one of the most important things that we need to do as an online marketer. And I believe everyone's an online marketer these days. If you're in business and you're online, you essentially need to be marketing, and you're an online marketer. If you're putting your stuff out there on social media or YouTube or, all these, platforms that enable you to start getting traction and leverage. And personally, like, when I look at the way people respond to video, it's funny because I find that you've got kind of like 2 groups of people. There's always the person that says, or the people that say, like, oh, I don't have content, I don't have video, or, I'm afraid of the camera. Or there are people that have loads and loads of content and they're overwhelmed and they've got no idea, how to, like, put it all together and how to release it in a way that's going to give them, benefit or a return. And obviously there are the people that, like, for instance, people that have worked with yourself that really have gotten it all together. So I'm wondering, for the people that are in group 1 and 2, like, what would be your advice to them so that they don't feel either overwhelmed or like it's not possible for them to create video and turn it into, a marketing strategy?
The first video is always going to be your hardest if you haven't started yet, and I look at, and if you're old enough to remember cars that have, a handle with a knob on top, that's called a stick shift, and if you're old enough to have driven one of those things, then you'll know that first gear in that car is only there to get the car barely started and maybe halfway down the driveway. What do you call it? What do you call a driveway over there? Is it a walkway, a parking?
Oh, yeah, we call them a driveway.
Driveway. Okay. Anyhow, but the moment you get that car gets moving and the inertia is overcome with a little bit of momentum, then you shift to second gear, then third gear, then fourth. And you would never in your mind, if you are sane, try to get on the highway in first gear. with your car. Now,
Right.
it's the same with your first video. Your first video is going to be a disaster. You should expect that. Your first video is going to get 2 views. It's going to be the one that you watch yourself of to make sure it uploaded. And it's going to be the second view is going to be when you check in on it the next day to see if anybody else watched it. That's okay. That's normal. That's just to get you moving. If your first video is a challenge, then what you got to do is think about it as just the stepping block to get to video number 100. Now, if that number 100 scared you a little bit, it should, because think about it as race to 100. Don't, plod along to 100, because the faster you fail, the faster you'll find your rhythm, the faster you'll find your natural speaking style, and the faster you'll find what kind of videos actually work. Because I'm in no position to tell you what to talk about. I'm in no position to tell you what's going to work and what's not going to work. I'm in no position to tell you what topics you should or shouldn't avoid. What I'm here to tell you is put out your videos and see what works. What are people responding to? What are they sharing? What are they liking? What are they asking more questions about? And then by video number 100, you're going to have a really clear picture about what works and what doesn't. And if you get all the way to 100 and you're not getting more than average 1,000 views every time you put out a video, then it might mean that you just need to look at the data more. What are people engaging in? Study the charts. Where do people drop off? Where do people hang out more? So that's for people who haven't got started. Now, some people you said have tons of content and they're trying to figure out how to organize that, right?
Mm-hmm.
I just say, there's 3 topics, right? Well, first of all, like I said earlier, divide where you're giving value and completely for free without any obligation. Don't make them go get the second half of your training inside of a link somewhere. Just give them what they need, right? And then that's completely on one side where you give and then you ask in another video where like every week or so you can say, hey, by the way, I'm doing a free webinar. If you want to jump in, click the link below. It's really that simple. But in the content that you give, like I said earlier, it's just 3 things at the very top for people who don't know you, why it's important to do what you do. Now, let's say you're in health, right? Why is health important? You talk about energy, you talk about happiness, you talk about longevity, you talk about whatever it is, the holistic benefits of what you do. That's the why. And then the what. What do you need to do to achieve that? Talk about that too. And then talk about how it's achieved. And if you put all your topics into those 3 categories, and then you put that out on a weekly basis, like let's say 3 videos per week, then you're going to be getting everybody where they're at and helping them to go one level deeper with you.
Yeah, that's so true. And I love what you mentioned about giving value. That is so like, it always comes back to that, and like teaching people relevant things that show them that you know what you're talking about. So Ken, for anyone that's just jumped on live, that's missed the introduction, that's missed that start with you, could you just share with us again really quickly, if you don't mind, like what's your story and what's your background and what got you into video and why, why, or even just your online program. You have an incredible online program. I've jumped in there. I've seen your videos. I've seen how good you are at what you do, which is why I've got you in this group right now, on this Facebook Live. So could you just share with those that are watching right now, just a little bit about yourself?
Sure. So I'll just go from a slightly different angle this time. But right now I have a video marketing agency, and we help some of the world's, top speakers and marketers. And the reason I'm able to have such a good connection with these people is because I used to run an events company, like I mentioned earlier. And we used to bring several thousand people together a few times a year, and we'd run huge business workshop events. And the way we'd bring people into the event, put butts in seats, or as you said so nicely, bums in seats, is through video marketing. And that's where I had to, literally learn video marketing in order to keep my company going. Now I'm all in with just video marketing, got rid of the live events thing. That was not a lot of fun. But when I got rid of my company, in other words, when I let go of it, the top speakers whose names you'll definitely know. There's a very tall guy. There's a guy who has a 10 and an X on all his stuff. Those kind of people. They were the guys on my stage, and I just approached them and said, by the way I got all these people in your seats was with video marketing. Would you like help with that for your programs worldwide? And we started that conversation, and they became my clients for my video agency. And so we help people all over the world, mostly US, Australia, and Singapore, Malaysia. Those or in Japan, right? So that's pretty much where I go. I've got local film crews there. But since the pandemic, since my film crews, my local film crews are not flying around the world, obviously, at least not as much as we used to, I made a hard pivot and decided that instead of reserving the marketing techniques and the video shooting techniques and the scripting and basically everything involved in what I did for my high paying clients, take those same techniques and actually teach it to everybody who's interested, everybody who wants to get started. What exactly, everybody hears this term video marketing, and very few people actually understand specifically what to do. What are the exact, 6 main components that you need in order for a video marketing campaign to work without having to build a website, without having to do any email copy, without any landing pages, subscribing to ClickFunnels or Kartra or Kajabi. These things are all great. And they're great once you start getting more advanced. But in the beginning, what if you could just shoot a video and understand the 6 main components to get people from becoming aware of you to handing you money for you to be able to help them? So that's what the program is about. And the difference between that and what my agency does is, with my agency, all the marketing technique is the same, except we actually come and a professional film crew comes and shoots everything for you, edits it. We do a whole year's worth of content in 2 days. And that just got to be a little bit difficult with the pandemic. So now I'm just sharing all the techniques that my top paying clients used to be the only ones in the world that had access to that.
And you are so incredible and so humble as well. I mean, like, I know the names of the people that you have worked with, and and I know it's probably not something that you like to openly like name drop and share, but people like the guys, for anyone that's watching, like, Ken has worked with the top of the top, and it blows me away that what works for them, what works for these people that are literally filling up stadiums. You've created a program that works for the small and medium businesses, where you also show those kinds of smaller businesses and business owners like myself who are definitely not on that scale, but are ready to produce video or have content or wanting to produce content, and you're showing them how to obviously launch and turn that into a funnel. And I love some of the ways that you teach, where you show people a video marketing funnel and things like that. So Ken, I was actually thinking, and I know we're live at the moment and I might be putting you on the spot, but I was wondering if you would be happy for us to do like an online event or a webinar, or even another live, where you actually guide us through, and it won't take up too much of your time, I promise, but I would love to introduce you into our group and for like you to share that in a bit more depth. Would that be something that would that be possible?
Yeah, actually, right now I do run a masterclass about once a week. And so I do have, I think that really the best way to understand what I do is through my masterclass, where I introduce you to the idea of, instead of building a complex funnel and putting, having to subscribe to, ClickFunnels and Stripe and all this stuff, and understanding web design, like that's a lot. It does help, but it's a lot. But instead of doing that and then creating video to put into the funnel, in the masterclass, what I show you is how to actually take that funnel and put the whole funnel into the video. How to look at every aspect of the video, from the words that are on the screen to the structure of what you're going to say, in what order you're going to say it, how to introduce yourself, when to introduce yourself, how to introduce the next step, and how to actually close the sale without pitching. So that's the whole concept of putting the funnel into the video instead of putting videos into the funnel. And it's so much simpler if you're getting started. Now, if you're already advanced, here's the thing. If every single video that you're putting into your advanced funnel has a funnel built into it, then you're multiplying that effect, right? So let's say you have like 7 steps in your funnel, and so you've got videos at every stage, but those videos, you could get them to be way more effective. You'll drive way more people down to the bottom of the funnel. So that's the thing I like to explain to people in the masterclass. The idea that you put the funnel into the video, and every single video is a selling machine without actually pitching. So yeah, I'd love to share that. How should we do it?
Yeah, well, I reckon we should do an online webinar. I think
Okay.
that would be great because the things that I've seen on your program, like, the Hilda system, and, I love it when you start drawing and, I think that that would be awesome. I think that there's a lot of people that are visual in this group as well.
Mhm.
And if we could do a webinar, maybe in say like 2 weeks where we can go through this with people. I
Mhm.
reckon there's a lot of people out there that will find that video is actually not that difficult. And, obviously confidence comes with time. We're not all born naturally able to jump on a screen and start talking to a computer or an iPhone or a camera. But it is something that over time can create a lot of traction and leads and generate business for a business owner
Absolutely.
that, hasn't previously done that before. How does that sound?
I think that's perfect. I think 2 weeks from now would be perfect. Some of you might know, Phoebe, you do know, I've just moved houses. Everything's been just kind of up in the air for now for the last week or so. But yeah, 2 weeks from now, I'm good. Like I'm laying out my plans for, you know, doing a big marketing push to actually help a lot of people to understand you don't need to build a complicated funnel. Just start shooting videos the right way and start getting leads and sales. That's it. It's 2 steps. Shoot the right kind of videos, get leads and sales. and a lot of people don't believe me that it actually works like that. Do you mind if I just share my screen and draw a quick diagram about what actually is going on when it comes to videos and marketing?
Go for it.
So I don't really have anything fancy prepared, but when people, there's different types of videos, and some of them we're talking about, very low cost things. And then over here, we've got high cost things, right? This is just very arbitrary here. And we've got things that are understood. And then we've got other topics that need education or explanation, right? Now, here's the thing. A lot of people think, just shoot a video, an ad, and tell people to buy now, and that's how you make money. Now, the problem is that it's not actually a misconception. It just might be a mismatch for what you're selling. So let's talk about, for example, what goes in this zone over here, where it's a low price and things are understood. Now we're talking about things like what you find at a Walmart, right? You can pick anything up off the shelf. It doesn't need a lot of explanation. You understand it. And Walmart is in the game of driving prices down. Therefore, people will make an immediate purchase. We could talk about, something like, a one, put that on the wrong side, $1 store, everything there is cheap and it's understood. So then you can very easily just sell things. Now here's the thing. If we go into this zone over here, up here, then what's going to happen is we can start selling low ticket items. Right now, I actually have a $37 course. And this course is a really simple course on getting started using your phone and how to look better on your phone and shoot video the right way. Okay. And also how to edit videos on your phone. Now, does it need education? Yes, but it's low ticket. Therefore, I can just shoot. I'm just running ads, and it goes to a cold audience. People see it. A little bit of education, they buy it, and then we're making a profit. Not a huge profit, but we're making a profit. If it's a physical thing, if you're an e-com, it might be like, for example, a fancy iPhone case where you're charging, maybe $30 to $50, and you could show a video of someone dropping it off of a bridge or something, and they think, wow, that's cool, and then they go buy that, right? So that's this zone right here. So we're talking about low ticket, about up to $50, maybe $100, and and just a straight ad to buy. Now
it's no commitment as well. It's it's $37. It's not a huge commitment for them, and if they don't use it, well, they've always got the option to rewatch it in their own time. I love that idea.
Absolutely. So yeah, if they need education around it, that's fine, but you could educate them in 90 seconds or less about why they need it, and it's a small commitment, right? Now let's look over here, right? Where it's a bit more high price and it's understood. Now, this is where we get into the zone where it's all about brand. Now, for example, Apple, right? Apple, they have the most overpriced computers, even though I buy all of them. They've got the most overpriced phones. And yet people understand the brand, so they're willing to pay the big bucks, right? And let's just say, for example, Gucci. I'm not sure if is it understood? Yes, it's understood. That's a luxury brand. Maybe it's a Lamborghini, right? Do people actually need to have a lot of explanation why? The only reason people would need to be explained why is to justify logically the reason why they've already internally made an emotional decision they're going to buy it. Right? For me, every Apple product comes out, I'll buy it. But I'll look at the specs just to, tame my logical mind and to allay the fears. Like it's really just to justify with logic the reason why I'm going to buy it one way or another. And that's, if you're in that position, that's great. You can just shoot a video and just say, hey, Apple could just flash their logo and say new iPhone number 3, iPhone 14. People would flock and buy it, right? So right now we've got these two zones right here, and I'm going to paint these green. With these two zones, if you can make a video that just says, here's a product, buy it, people will jump and buy it. Now, what if you're in a zone where it needs education and it costs a lot of money? Now, this is where I'm talking about, let's just say consultants, right? Consultants, agencies, coaches.
Absolutely.
Now, these need a lot of education. People need to understand why they need a consultant, the value they'll get from it. People need to be explained what kind of results the coach will get for you. So if you're in this zone, let me just put this zoom back out here, where the audience needs to be educated and it costs a high amount. And by the way, in case you're wondering, most of the people I work with are, in the majority, they just happen to be business coaches, people who get tangible results for business owners and agencies. And I do have a fair bit of consultants. I've got a lot of doctors and lawyers, so that kind of falls somewhere within that range. I've got a lot of dentists. I'm not sure why. They seem to love the process-driven approach. But on average, a business coach will charge $3,000 a month on a 1-year retainer. So that's $36,000, right? That's not chump change. But if you're a business owner and you understand that $36,000 investment and the time involved will probably get them to a 7-figure revenue, if they're not there yet, then that seems like nothing. But they need to be educated, and then they need to be explained to why. So that's where, like, let's say you're a fitness coach and you're charging $500 a month. This is still applicable. What you need to do is create a video funnel. And this zone right here that I just showed you is where the video funnel is going to work the most effectively. It'll work on everything else, but you don't necessarily need a video funnel for, for this here, you don't necessarily need one. This, you don't necessarily need one. Here, you definitely don't need it. Here is where it's going to be extremely effective because you're going to educate your audience and you can charge a very high ticket price. So anyhow, that's how I look at the different types of video marketing. And if you're in that zone, consulting, agency work, if you're a professional doctor, lawyer, accountant, copywriter that needs education and you want to charge high ticket, video funnels for you.
Yeah, I agree. I couldn't agree more. And, especially for all the coaches that are watching and all the, people that are like yourself that have pivoted towards creating an online program or creating something that's deliverable online, which is so great because when something's deliverable online, you've got the rest of your life to be able to sell it without doing a thing. So you're basically monetizing your product, which could be your social media where you don't actually own any of it. Facebook and Instagram, well, Facebook owns Instagram, so Facebook owns it, or LinkedIn owns it. You can then now start to monetize, all the stuff, all the hours of work that you've put into your posts and actually reap a reward from it. So I think that's really cool, Ken, and I really appreciate you sharing that with us, and thank you for that visual. I know, from like going through your program and, you've got the Hilda system, you've got so much to offer, so much knowledge and also experience that people, don't understand. So would say in 2 weeks' time, perhaps around like the 14th of July, something, let's get back to, talking about this and go deeper on this. And I think, I think that you know, even if we like share with people about, you know, the Hilda system or a bit more, people will start to see that video is not that hard. It's actually something that anybody can do.
You know, tell you what, how about this? I'm not sure how many people are watching live because I can't see right now, but whoever wants to do a 1 hour session with me, I'll actually teach you Hilda. Hilda is, and here's my warning to you. Once I show you this, you can't unsee it. What that means is a bit like the Matrix. You start seeing how every top marketer is using this system, and a lot of them who I've personally taught, and a lot of people who are taught by people who I taught, how to open a video, how to introduce yourself, how to lead anticipation, and go all the way through to the end and ask for the right thing without pitching. Now, this formula called Hilda, which you understand why it's called Hilda, I'm not going to say now, but I'll actually reveal all this and teach you how to do it for yourself inside the masterclass. But if you're interested, just put a comment below, a yes, a thumbs up, whatever emoji you want. I want to know that there's interest in this, and then I can commit some time to doing this.
Yeah, amazing. Sounds good. All right, guys, did you hear that? If you're interested in learning how to do marketing, video marketing, like the top marketers in the globe, all over the globe, in the world, and you want to know how this, or you want to find out more about this Hilda system, or just wanting to chat with Ken about getting yourself onto video and onto creating an online course or an online program, or, you know, selling your coaching course or selling your coaching program, then leave a comment below and hit us up. And most importantly, connect with Ken and connect with us on this Facebook Live so that we know whether or not this is something that you want to have and you want to learn more from. And you know, and Ken, I guess we'll just, you know, touch base again and make sure that, you know, that this is something that we can obviously offer value to for everyone.
Perfect. And Phoebe, I have a question for you. If you were to guess, and let's play a game here, how many people do you think would show up if 2 weeks from now I announce this, just from your community?
Oh, from my community, I reckon we're talking about 2 weeks from now with that much that you have to offer, with that, like this much content, and also this much value. I reckon live, I reckon at least 30, if not 30 to 40 people live will show up, because obviously live sessions are difficult. I've got people from all different time zones and things like that, but just looking at the community and the way they respond to these things, I reckon we've got a chance where there's even like 40 to 50 people that will watch, and potentially even more, you know, especially once the replay is out. So
I think we got to make them salivate to want this. I'm going to leave you with one thought before we close up. I know that you're probably running out of time here, but I want you to think about your webcam. And you know how if you're in coaching or an agency and if you're going in for a meeting to close a $6 or $7 contract, then you will absolutely spend a lot of time on getting your suit or your dress dry cleaned. If you're a woman, you're going to go get your hair, you know, the blowout or whatever you call it, and makeup, and get your, you know, your eyebrows tweezed and your lipstick done. And the men are going to tie their ties just right. All of this attention to personal care and appearance is so that you appear professional, so that people take you seriously. Now, I've been on a lot of Zoom calls and people are sitting at home and everything around them doesn't look they don't put the same amount of attention into how they appear on a Zoom camera as they would in a real life situation. So what I want to propose is that it's not because you don't care. Think about this. The first time you had to pluck your eyebrows, the first time you did makeup, the first time you learned to tie a tie, someone had to teach you a few simple tricks and tips. And once you learned it, it became like second nature. You did it every single time. When it comes to your Zoom room, if you want to appear professional and you want to close a $6 or $7 figure deal, then there's always going to be somebody else competing with you, by the way. If you think you got no competition, it's just because you haven't looked hard enough yet. But if the price and the proposition is similar, the deal breaker may just be who looks better on camera, because your camera is your new suit. Everything behind you is your business suit, and you want it to look absolutely professional and top brass. So I'm also going to share with you how to look better on video. And don't worry, it's not going to cost you any money. It's just about angles, lighting, positioning, and it's going to, just that alone will probably pay, well, It's free. Of course, it'll pay for itself, but I will share that inside the webinar if there's enough people that show up. I think I need at least 35 people to show up.
Yeah. Wow.
Otherwise, I'll just skip it.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for your time. I really, really appreciate, and I really value your time, my time. I think everyone's time is so important. So thank you so much for sharing this with us. And guys, like, if that's something, like, if you want to take this seriously, and if that's something that you really want to start seeing yourself achieving results and scaling in these times where we are online more than ever before, and that we've been talking for weeks now about an online renaissance that's literally just kicked off, about going digital, about launching yourself on the internet. And so if you're sitting here and you're watching and you haven't done that already, or you're sitting here and you're watching today and you know that there are areas that you can improve in order for your business to take off online, then leave us a comment. It's that simple. Just leave us a comment and say, yes, I'm interested, or yes, I'm in, and we will do a live session where Ken Okazaki is literally going to take you through what we've just talked about live on a webinar, and help you look better on camera, look better on, in your Zoom meeting, so that you can close 6-7 figure deals, and also create your video funnel so that you don't get overwhelmed by it or feel underwhelmed by your content. Then, let's get it done. Absolutely.
All right. I just want to leave with one last thought. If you think that you don't have what it takes to be on video, to be on camera, there's one question you could ask yourself, and to find out. And it's this: can you, or have you ever gotten a positive result for somebody? If you're a coach, have you helped them overcome a fear and anxiety, a goal? If you're a consultant, have you given people solutions that improve their lives or their businesses? If you're a doctor, a tax accountant, whatever position you're in, if you have been able to, by using the knowledge you have, the intellectual property that's in your brain or in your credentials or your history, if you've used that and been able to help somebody else in a professional capacity, then my answer to you is unequivocally, yes, you do have something to offer. And yes, you have something worthy of making video content about. And you absolutely should show up so I can show you how to do it. Yeah, awesome. Thank you so much, Ken. That is an awesome thought for us to walk away with. So appreciate you, Ken. And thank you guys again for watching us live. And Ken, we'll chat soon. All right. See you soon. See ya.